Thanks. I've been playing with trying to use Mongo. Oh man.
What's that?
Oh, it's just like there's a lot of, I'm hoping that when we redo things, we can get rid of like that backing store stuff. It's really complicated how it manages the connections and closes things for you.
Yeah.
Kind of throwing me off.
Yeah.
But no, what I'm running into is right now is that Mongo, like the library I'm using, is like closing the connection itself. Like one of its Go routines is like, I think I'm going to close the connection now, and I'm like, wait, no, I'm still talking to that.
Remind me of an example where we want to keep it open, just for efficiency.
It's not keeping it open for efficiency. It's just that I'll be like in the middle of a read, and this other Go routine that Mongo is doing will close it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like update to a different version of the client library to see if I would like a magic fix for this. I don't want to try to figure out, why querying for master causes it to close the connection. Yeah.
That's not good.
This may just be us today. We kind of already talked about all this.
True.
So we may just cancel and I'll go back to trying to make this work.
I'm down. I did want a quick reminder. I know it's not, the priority is much less than any of these things, but there's a little handful of PRs in the Docker mixin repo, Docker Compose mixin repo.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I am still catching up from being on vacation.
That's right.
Yeah. So it looks like the build is failing, first of all. So I think I fixed this for Helm. I need to fix this probably for a bunch of mix-ins.
Yeah, I added a fix in one of the PRs, but I could break it out into, I think the bottom one.
Oh, okay.
I just so
you're saying if I just click merge, everything's fixed?
Yeah, but
yeah, there we go. That's what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, this PR is a little, this has what do you think about this breaking change? So in Docker Compose mixin, we were bundling the Docker CLI as well with it, which makes sense. It's got its reasonings. Like if you're working with Docker Compose, you're probably most certainly gonna drop down to Docker as well. But in updating the installation steps, let's look at it. I removed installing the Docker CLI because I thought we have a Docker mixin now, which itself has configuration for like specifying the Docker CLI version.
I don't know why we did that. I don't know.
We had a Docker mixin back then.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
I think we piggybacked.
Yeah.
I would say I'm fine with this change as long as we've tested it on our example bundles first to see if it breaks anything.
Good point.
So do you want to just run some of the example bundles with this Docker Compose mixin installed and see if anything breaks?
Deal. Yep.
Okay.
I'll do that and update the PR.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I got greedy, got really lazy and greedy, which is a great combination.
I know that combo too.
Yeah. I'm sorry I missed all these PRs the other week.
Oh, no worries. Like they're not urgent, but figured I'd holler on those.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, John, nice to see you here.
Hello, happy to be here.
So I don't know if there was something you were keen on talking about, or if you wanted to go over maybe some of the Porter operator changes. We haven't really started the meeting yet. We've just been doing a code review.
Oh no, I'm just here to watch and learn basically today. So I'm kind of just trying to keep my finger on the pulse a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So let me just jump into what we're doing with the operator then, because that's what we were going to chat about a bit today. So we have the operator right now, and it's a proof of concept. And what we're running into is that, okay, the proof of concept was kind of neat, but it doesn't quite do what we want. And after talking to a bunch of people who are using the operator, what we'd like to be able to do is have a bit of desired state. Let me open up a different file here. And share this. Okay. Yeah, I'll make it big. So in the operator itself, we'd like to be able to have a custom resource that represents an installation. And you should be able to have things like what's the name of the installation. Some of these are new. We'd like to be able to track what namespace it's in and what bundle it's tied to. And then you can either tie yourself to a specific version of the bundle, or if you want like that higher level guarantee, you can use a digest. So you can say, I actually want this very specific immutable version of the bundle. And then what I'm thinking of adding then is the ability to say, these are the parameter sets that I want to use with the bundle. So for example, my bundle here that installs MySQL, I want it installed in the dev environment. So maybe there's a couple parameters in here that say environment is dev, and maybe there's like a default username I'd like to use, things like that. And then I can also track what credentials the installation should use, like how does it connect to the dev environment? So I have this credential set called dev team, and it, connects me to my dev cluster essentially and lets me install MySQL there. But it has this new concept here as well, which is what parameters do you want to be able to use as well? So you could override it and be like, okay, in general, in the dev environment, this is what I want to use. But at the moment, I'm debugging. So I want to turn log level up to 11 all the way. So in order to do this, to be able to say, okay, operator, here's what I want the installation to look like, Porter needs to be able to know this is the exact state of the installation itself. So we need to start recording a bit of extra information. So for example, what were all the parameters used the last time we ran install or last time we ran upgrade? And we'd like Porter then to reconcile that state between what the installation looks like now and what we just asked for. And so what we want to do, let's see if I've got the right command in here somewhere. Nah, let me just start typing at the end. We'd like to be able to do is add Porter installation apply, and you can give it, my install .yaml, and you'll be able to take that installation, that file, and tell Porter, I want you to reconcile and do everything. And then this command is what the operator is going to use, is the idea. Are there any questions? Because I feel like I kind of talked for 10 minutes straight.
No questions. Just looking back at the installation resource.
Let me find it. Yeah, this one.
So even though, so say we apply this right now, sort of the parameter section is tripping me up just because.
My comments are wrong. I gotta get rid of this comment.
Maybe that was it. Override. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Sorry. Yeah. So this is the equivalent of param log level equals 11, right? Mm-hmm. And then right here, parameter sets, right? this is the equivalent of -p, dev env, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of map it to our normal way of having a hierarchy of where do you resolve the parameters from. Is in, first we resolve from the parameter sets, but you're also able to override just an individual parameter with flag. And this is what it lets you do with that. So this is just what the operator has. The information the operator keeps is what it wants the state of the world to be. The actual state of the world, which you can kind of think of as like the status, if you're used to custom resources, is going to be on the actual installation record itself that Porter stores in its own data store. So Porter has its own representation of what does the installation look like right now. And so what we're going to do is take over the custom section that lets us just add extra metadata for parameters. For installations. And we'll be able to track last parameters used. So it's two separate things. One, we store what do we want the parameter to be, like what someone specified. Like this is essentially all the pieces of information from that, the operator's representation of the installation. And then here, just for Porter, we're going to remember what parameters we used last.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like two separate things. I think we're going to need to be careful what we show people. If you're just working at it from the operator's perspective, you're only going to see the CR, the custom resource, which I think will help reduce confusion.
Cool. And maybe a quick tangent. What does the error case look like? Either like I've misformatted this installation that I give the operator, or the action failed. I guess the action failed is no biggie. We're used to that. We just record that in the status.
Yeah, I think we'll catch validation errors. Like if there's something not right about this, maybe dev env doesn't exist, stuff like that. We'll catch it before we even try to execute the bundle. And we won't end up recording, for example, maybe I changed it. Okay, I'm like, all right, problem solved, log level back down to 5, but then I accidentally fat fingered this, right? None of this would actually get recorded on the official installation record because Porter would kick it back to you when it validates it. And it would say like, oops, dev env AAA, or maybe you set log level to like -1. Maybe that's not allowed. Maybe the parameter had validation on it that said it has to be between 1 and 10, for example. Again, that would kick it back to you and tell you that there's a problem with it and not execute it, and it won't even persist that you tried to use those bad values, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think the other interesting scenario that can happen is what if I use some parameters that at runtime when the bundle is doing its thing causes, say, the upgrade to fail. They'll still get persisted to the final record of the installation. So the installation would say, okay, I tried to run this version. I tried to run it with these parameters and it failed, right? So if someone wanted to see, shoot, what was the right parameters to use, they would need to look at the history of the installation and see what did it look like the last time it succeeded. And this is information you can see with Porter, the Porter installation show command. It'll let you see like all the different times you've run upgrade or install. And then when you look at one of those runs, you should be able to see, okay, this is the parameters I used. So we don't have the concept of a rollback.
I was just thinking of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But right now, the way we're evolving it, sorry?
Oh, I was going to ask if there would be an advantage in that scenario for using like cluster secrets for storing parameters in. Seems like you might get some of the benefit of being able to just kind of use the existing rollback structure there that's already there for cluster secrets.
What kind of rollback is there for cluster secrets? Maybe I'm missing. I don't know about how that works.
Yeah, it's I'll try to find a link for you because it's Kubernetes complicated, which is like complexity level 11. So I'll try to find that for you.
Yeah. I think for a lot of the operator, the direction we're going is to put as much as possible the logic into Porter, the actual command line tool, and then the operator kind of wraps it and gives you like a way to access it. But we may not always do something like implementation, like implement it first through Kubernetes, because we may end up then locking it out from the main product. We do have a plugin for Kubernetes for the operator and specifically so that it can store values in secrets. So you can get a whole bunch of data that's in your cluster and keep it on cluster, not have to store it somewhere else. And I think you can actually source sensitive values from Kubernetes secrets as well. We don't have Simon here, so I can't say. But Vaughn, I think you can say, I want to use a secret. Like maybe you had a database connection string. I think you should be able to source it from inside Kubernetes, but I have to. We should double check, because if we don't have that, we definitely wanted that, and I haven't used that plugin enough to know. Sorry, myself.
That actually seems like it might be a better way to do it than what I was thinking. So I actually like that a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Could you rephrase that approach, Carolyn? I was backed up on notes.
So think about a credential set or parameter set where you can set the source for one of the values to come from a secret. And sometimes that means it's coming from a secret store, like HashiCorp Vault or Azure Key Vault, right? But with the Kubernetes plugin, we could say secrets should be looked up on the cluster, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And I know we use secrets to store data. I don't know if we do the secret lookup against Kubernetes secrets too. I really need to use the Kubernetes plugin more. See what it can do. So speaking of Kubernetes, though, so we would have a custom resource for installations. We've also had a bunch of people ask that they can manage parameter sets and credential sets as custom resources as well. So we'd like to be able to, let me get a copy of what those look like. Maybe that'll do it. Okay. So this is what a credential set looks like, the actual data, right? And what we'd like to be able to do is, instead of assuming that you stored this in Porter's like backing data storage, you should be able to just define it inside of a custom resource, and the operator then will make sure that it's available to Porter as well when it needs to save resolve credentials. The place where it gets weird is that one of the places where you can source credentials from is a file path. And I think what we'd like to be able to do, because this really doesn't make sense, and volume mounts and things like that. I'm not really sure yet if we need that level of complexity, but it'd be cool to be able to say config map, and then give it the name for like config or something, or alternatively secret, which could then pull from a Kubernetes secret and be like,
Yeah, I like that. That's kind of what I was thinking when you mentioned that.
Okay. But I think we would tell people for now, I don't want to try to take on too much. I think this would get us really far without having to take on path, which would require volume mounts and stuff like that. Which I don't know. We'll see how far we could get with config maps and secrets, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a rabbit hole.
Yeah. So I think one of the things the operator would need to do, or maybe the Kubernetes plugin, probably the Kubernetes plugin would have to like go, oh, you specified path. That's not supported. And then it would open up and add these new things that other things may not support, like config map. It's only if you're running inside Kubernetes, you could use that. I'm just going to track this. Make sure that there's an issue for that. I think that would unblock a lot of people with what we want to be able to do. I think it'd be great if you could do pretty much everything you need to do an installation, upgrade it, uninstall it, provide credentials, provide parameters, everything. And you don't have to use the Porter CLI at all for it. You could do it 100% through the operator, through custom resources. I think that's kind of where the POC for it is kind of got a gap. So what I'm working on right now is actually, in order to do this, we need to kind of tweak how Porter's storing data right now. Because adding some of these fields that I was talking about, like namespace and labels, it actually isn't in the format at all. We have an open change to the spec to support like top level installation documents and adding namespace and labels to everything. So as part of that, what I'm actually working on right now, even just to get to what the operator needs, is tweaking our data storage a bit. So right now we actually use it's kind of like an ORM defined in the library CNAB Go. And what we're trying to do now, it's just not working for us anymore. So we'd like to skip the ORM part and just work directly with our own data stores way more efficiently, just inside of Porter, and not try to share that data storage code anymore. Because no one else is using it, actually. Talk to other people who've implemented CNAB Go. So I'm moving how we communicate with our backend data stores directly into Porter. And what that's going to look like is, this is a little out of date. Let me tweak this. Our storage plugin interface is going to be based tentatively on the Mongo query API.
Carolyn, are you intending to show a different window?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. Thanks. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so what we'd like to do is replace the ORM, which was kind of so generic that it's no longer helpful for us. We'd like to be able to essentially go, if you want to write a storage plugin, it needs to support the Mongo query API. And then we can store our documents that way and query over them the way we want to, using that and assuming then kind of like a base level of functionality that all backend storage systems will provide. So for example, right now, if you don't specify a plugin, you get the file system plugin. And that just stores, JSON files directly into your Porter home directory. And what I'm playing with right now is instead running like a local just-in-time Mongo daemon and then storing files through that. Because what that'll let us do is be able to use Mongo's query functionality, even when we're storing on the local file system. And that's just for dev, really. It's not actually something that users should be doing. They would be using remote storage either through like running their own MongoDB instance, or maybe they're using like a managed Mongo as a service, like on Azure, that would be Cosmos. So it'd still allow you to use any cloud provider or like run your own. But at least we standardize then on a much more high fidelity like data access pattern than just create, retrieve, update, delete, which is what it does right now. So I don't know. Yeah. We didn't really have like a lot of like just decisions that needed to be made. I feel like right now we're just kind of spiking what this new data storage pattern looks like and make sure that we didn't miss anything. And if it looks good, then, we'll move forward with it. The biggest weird one is this, actually. So I'll know like by the end of the week if this was a horrible idea or if it'll be just fine. As so many of our ideas go, you can't tell until you do it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like our roadmap for now. All of my time this summer is going to be, first getting this data storage updated so that we can do much more powerful queries. And then after that, it'll be, getting parameters and credentials into CRs, and then, being able to basically interact 100% with Porter through the operator. John, are you using the operator yet? Have you tried it or?
No, I haven't. I've just been working with regular plain old Porter. I'm curious about it though, and I'm looking forward to when we can start getting it out there. I'm working mostly on the production side, so I don't play with the fun toys all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the operator is a fun toy right now for sure. It's pretty rocky, so I'm glad you haven't tried it yet because nice. Give me 2 months, and then I think what we have is going to be much more representative of the final way that you would work with the operator. Right now it's kind of rocky. You gotta jump a bit in between the operator and Porter's own config and commands. So it's a little cobbled together just to kind of prove out what we wanted to do. So that's really all we had. Unless there were any other questions or PRs or stuff people wanted to raise up and ask for people to look at.
No, that's awesome. Is there a place, I know Karch and Jeff were wanting to be here today too, but they were asking if I could send a link. I see this is being recorded. Is there a place where these recordings go?
Yeah, if you go to porter.sh/videos, we have a YouTube channel with all of our meetings and everything. So once this is done recording, I'll upload it later today.
Right on.
Yep. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming today. And, whenever you have thoughts or questions or whatever, you don't have to wait for the meeting, though obviously, I love it when we have something to talk about in meetings. There's always, Slack, or we have a discussion forum inside of GitHub. So if you go to porter.sh/forum, it'll send you right there. And actually, I think some of our most controversial things end up starting here first and incubating for a while before we even chat about it. in meetings like this. So it's another good place to just kind of lurk, to know what we're thinking about doing in the next 6 months,
Definitely.
All right. Thanks y'all for coming. See you in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you,
great day.
Steve.
Bye.